Hi, it's Jamil with Jamil Wellness Counseling. And I really want to start talking about psychedelics and psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. I had just recently attended a panel discussion on for done by Texans for Greater Mental Health. And I was surprised that there's still so much stigma around psychedelics. And I realized, oh, right, Jamil, you're not doing anything to educate. Although I talk to people and talk about it all the time, talk about the efficacy of psychedelic assisted psychotherapy treating PTSD. 22 veterans a day die in this country, commit suicide, which is just astounding. And so they're doing clinical trials on psychedelic substances like psilocybin mushrooms, ayahuasca, which is an Amazonian brew, psychedelic brew, and ibogaine, which is a native shrub found in Africa. So those substances, as well as LSD, but mostly these plant medicines, that's what they're referred to as, because as we know, medicine can be poison or beneficial. It's all dose dependent. And with psychedelics, not only is it dose dependent, but it is also set and setting are really important. And so it's important to work with, it doesn't have to be a counselor, but it is important to work with a guide or a coach or a counselor to really get your intention clear before a journey, and then integrate that the messages from the journey. How did your experience with that medicine affect your worldviews, your own felt sense, connection with your body? So just astounding, just really amazing work that's being done to demystify psychedelics, talking about the all the neurobiology that happens, the the rumination that we have is oftentimes because of this neural circuitry called the default mode network. And so it's kind of your autopilot. And if we didn't have the default mode network, we would have to figure out like stop signs every time we stop. So it's these sort of shortcuts that we take. And yet, in mental health and our mental well-being, sometimes those shortcuts can be really detrimental, right? Like we jump to conclusions about judging people or ourselves. We have these critical voices, right? And so quieting the default mode network is what fMRIs are showing happens under these medicines. And so not only is the quieting of this default mode network happen with under the influence of these psychedelic medicines, but also increased neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and increased connectivity between different regions of the brain which don't normally connect. So lots of great evidence, lots of clinical trials happening with MDMA, which is really more of an empathogen, street drug, ecstasy, Molly, that and being used as a way to start to connect with yourself in a really compassionate way. So a lot of times when we've been through trauma or we've had this developmental trauma where and it doesn't have to be abuse and neglect. It could just be, a caregiver not attuning with you. And so this lack of attunement has kind of left us with this dysregulated nervous system. So nobody's fault. It's just is what it is, and we've all carved out our own, karmic journey, if you believe that, but which I do. So anyway, this Peter Levine, Gabor Mate, Deb Dana, they talk about trauma being too much too fast or not enough for too long. And so these early experiences that we have, our emotional maturity really sort of peaks at around age 8 or 10. And so all of this emotional intelligence we have is from our really early years, unless we become aware of it and start working with it. That's processing emotions, and that's a lot of what we do in counseling. And I do it with mindfulness. And so I always encourage my clients to go within when there's enough resource to do that, when there's enough safety in the therapeutic relationship, when the client has identified inner resource. It could be breath, it could be other felt sense of, safety, grounding, centering. So all of these things to process the trauma. And so oftentimes even the psychedelic experience can be this anchoring in of this inner resource, this sense of connectedness and being in source consciousness, being in that universal love, God's light, however you want to phrase it, unless you're an agnostic, which I can't. Please come talk with me, because I have no idea how people who identify as agnostic can be that. Like, how can you? Anyhow, that's a tangent. But so anyway, so psychedelics not only can help to um, dismantle these layers of armoring that we've built up in our soma, in our bodily experience, from early on in our life. Not to mention, but I will mention it, that the amygdala, the warning, Will Robinson, that watch house center of the brain and the limbic system, that is online when we pop out of the womb. Okay. And the hippocampus, which is the structure that organizes our experiences into a coherent narrative in explicit memory, that doesn't come online until we're like 3-ish. So what happens then, Jamil, to all those memories and experiences before age 3? They get stored in the body. So that's, again, the importance of bringing in this somatic experience. I'm a somatic psychotherapist. I did 2 additional years of training during graduate school in Hakomi, which is mindful somatic psychotherapy. I'm a Hakomi graduate. And so this really involves bringing the body into the conversation in a safe and resourced way, so that it's not too much, too fast. It's not overwhelming to the nervous system, but it is this process of resourcing and building inner resource. So, and then I just want to bring in what Hakomi means, because it's so beautiful. It's a Hopi word that means, it's a question. How do you stand in relation to these many realms? What are these many realms? Thoughts, emotions, sensations, images, ancestral memories, legacy burdens. So, and I bring that piece in to say that psychedelics really address and start to work with us on all of those many realms. And so when Hakomi, it's this question, how do you stand in relation to these many realms? The question is asking, who are you? And so as we can contact and become aware of what's in these many realms, then we can start to change the narrative of who we are. And that's part of the big part of counseling, is people want to step into more of their authentic self. They want to have more congruence between their inner and outer worlds, or more congruence in their thoughts and their behaviors. And so, really, this is a beautiful piece of what's happening right now in the world of psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. So, ketamine is our only psychedelic that is legal right now to work with. And yet there are lots of people that are microdosing these psychedelics and finding reputable sources of them on the internet so that they can start to build their own relationship with these plant medicines with themselves. So, and again, intersection of yoga. Yoga means union, to unite. So anything that can help foster this connection with self is really what I'm going to help advocate for and help my clients with, because all the answers are within you. I'm just your guide, so I'm going to help hold space for you and help guide you to connect back with your authentic self, with your witness consciousness. That's really this place of watching all of these domains of wellness, all these many realms. And so anyhow, and we do that through psychedelics, through breath work, through mindfulness, through yoga nidra, through sound baths, through acudetox, all of these Reiki, all of these modalities that I offer. It's all in service of connecting back to yourself. And we hurt in relationships and we heal in relationships. And so that's why finding a therapist or another human being that you can share these and sometimes ineffable experiences with and just being with is so healing. So anyhow, all that to say what I said. So I'm completely open to having more conversations about this. I just realized that I had not spoken to the powerful use of responsible and powerful use of these psychedelics. And yeah, so there's that. Okay, great. Until next time, take care.